Kakadosh Boker Tov, Shavua Tov, Shutchami. We're just going to come and continue with the halachot of Shabbat. If you remember, we were speaking about now Oneg Shabbat, and it's actually brought down. This is based upon the Gemara Pesach Pesachim Daf Samachet Amud Bet, where there is an entire discussion about Oneg, whether it's going to be on Yom Tov and on Shabbat. And there it says, Rava comes and he says, Hakol modim b'Shabbat tebayina nami lachem. Rava says everybody agrees. Whether it's a machloket, whether you have to have kulo or chetzi or whatever, he comes and he says everybody agrees that on Shabbat you have to have oneg Shabbat. So therefore it is fitting to divide the time on the Shabbat, that it should be half of the time on Shabbat for achila ushtiyah, for eating and drinking and sleeping, and half the time that it's going to be for Talmud Torah and Tefillah. And therefore he says that after Seudat Shachrit, right, after Seudat Shabbat and Shachrit, they should set up time for learning in the Batei Knesiot or Batei Midrashot, and they're not allowed to have a Seudah during that time. And that's why it's brought down in the Yerushalmi, Amar Bichia Baraba, Lo Nitnu Shabbatov Yamin Tovim L'Yisrael, Ela La'asok B'hem B'divrei Torah. The reason why we have Torah, we have Shabbat, is in order that we could actually be able to learn Torah. Because during the week, many times people are very, very busy, and therefore they could only learn a certain amount. And on Shabbat, they're completely free in order to learn Torah. And the Torah brings the name of the Midrash, Amra Torah Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Torah says in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribbono Shel Olam, when Bnei Yisrael are going to go into Eretz Yisrael, each one is running to his vineyard, to his field, right? V'ani matei alei, what's going to be unto me? Samala, he says to her, Yesh li zug shani mizaveg lecha u'Shabbat shemo. I'm going to give you your bat zug. What is the bat zug of the Shabbat? The Torah. Shem betilim mimlachtam. Right, because they're going to be batel mimlacha, they're not allowed to work on Shabbat, and therefore they're going to be able to learn. And Maran Bet Yosef there brings down that which is brought down in the Yalkut Shibunim, Parasha Vayakel, מתחילת התורה והצופה אין לך פרשה שנאמר בראשה ויקל אלא זו בלבד. The only parasha that starts with Vayakel, and that's why the Yalkut Shimoni is on Parasha Vayakel. He says it starts from there. אמר הקדוש ברוך הוא למשה, עשה לי קהילות גדולות בשבת. Make me very big groups on Shabbat in order they should learn. כל הדורות הבאים אחריך להכיר קהילו בשבת ולהיכנס לבתי כנסת ובית המדרשות in order to come into the בית הכנסת, בית המדרש, to learn Torah ברבים. Right? And that's what's actually brought down in the Midrash, which means there's an inyan to come to Shiurim and to learn Torah, especially on Shabbat. He says, דבר אחר, another explanation, ויקל משה, אמר להם הקדוש ברוך הוא לישראל, אם אתם נקלים בכל שבת ושבת בבתי כנסת וקוראים את תורה ונביאים. If you're going to come into the בתי כנסיות, you're going to be learning Torah and Nevi'im, and that's why if you remember we brought down that there was an inyan to learn whether it's going to be Torah or the Nevi'im on Shabbat. He comes and says, מענה עלי עליכם, כאילו המלכתם אותי בעולמי. It's like you're proclaiming that I'm the king, you're reigning me in the world, you're making that I'm the king in the world. And Maran Bet Yosef says, מכאן שמחו בכל תפוצות הגולה. There from here, this is the minhag in all the different parts of the diaspora, להתקבץ בבתי כנסיות, to go into the בתי כנסיות, לקרוא מקרא ולדרוש בדברי אגדה ביום השבת אחרי סעודת שחרית, to come and to start learning Torah, whether it's mikra, whether it's agada, and that's also brought down in the Shulchan Aruch and Siman. In Siman Kuf Tzadi, Siv Bet, שאסור לקבוע סעודה באותה שעה, which means that this is a very, very important time of learning Torah, and that's what we have to actually just pay attention, that the Shabbat should be also a spiritual Shabbat. It's not only just an oneg, that it's only just going to be that a person is coming and eating and drinking and sleeping and doing all these things, but rather a person also has to be the very importance of learning Torah on Shabbat. We did bring down, and we'll finish if you remember, that on Shabbat there's a special chokhmah. The Ohr HaChaim HaKadosh brings down that a person has a special chokhmah that he gets on Shabbat that he doesn't get during the weekday. And if you remember, the Ben Ish Chai actually brings down that every single mitzvah that you do on the Shabbat is worth 613 times what you do during the weekday. And therefore it's very, very important for a person to come and just realize the importance of learning Torah on Shabbat, because every single word that he learns on Shabbat has a very, very strong power, right? Much stronger than throughout the entire week.